State, are you all ready to proceed on Medina? I'm sorry, not Medina, Isaiah Salinas. All right, let's bring him up. All right, are you ready?
The rest of the stuff doesn't matter.
I'm just going to add one other thing to the record.
All right. All right, we're back on the record in 2022 CR 3668. Could I have parties announced, please, for the state,
Michael Villarreal for the state.
for the defense?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Todd McCray for Isaiah Salinas.
All right, and you're Mr. Salinas?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, where we left off, the court had received a waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations and accepted it into evidence. However, the court noticed there was a slight issue. Are there any amendments?
Yes, Judge, we added, amended the stipulations just to include the last page, which shows the variance in the name. She has 2 AKAs. And so that's reflected in the last page of State's Exhibit number 1.
All right, any objections? All right, and for the record, then the court is accepting that addendum to the state's waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony. The court is finding that the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. The court is accepting to evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Judge, and I wanted to note for the record, I think before I told you, Your Honor, that Mr. Salinas is 23 years old. He works at Toyota. He's a parts controller.
I'm sorry, Mr. McCray, I need you to speak up so court can hear.
This is Isaiah Salinas, Your Honor. He's 23 years old. He's employed with Toyota as a parts controller. He lives with his wife and 2 children who are 2 and 3 years old. I will say, Your Honor, that, and you can see that Mr. Salinas entered a plea of no contest. And I have counseled Mr. Salinas that although there are some discrepancies in terms of his version vis-a-vis the police reports, that he can enter a no contest plea, and that's what he's done. And he understands the court will, if the court follows his plea bargaining agreement, will find him to be guilty. We'd ask the court to follow the agreement. And I will note that I have talked to the state about the complainant, which is his mother, and the state has represented to me that she is requesting probation for her son, and that they are in touch with her, and she is in communication with them about this case.
That's correct, Judge. Last time we spoke to the complainant in this case, it was in, I believe, in May, and she requested that he be granted probation. However, she was still cooperative with the state.
Oh, is there anything you wish to say, Mr. Salinas?
No.
All right, I have a few questions for you. All right, this is your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you thinking?
It had nothing to do with her, but I just plead no contest because I don't know. I didn't want to go through a trial, so that's why I just plead no contest.
No,
On her statements, she was lying. To be honest, she was lying on her statements. So I never laid a hand on her.
well, you want a jury trial? The court will give you a jury trial.
And I've explained that to him, Your Honor, that he does have that option of a jury trial. And I agree with you, Judge. It might be a good point to ask him, since you've offered that to him.
Do you want a jury trial?
I think what the judge would do is give us another setting, and then we can see at that setting what your best course of action would be. But that would be a jury trial the court would set this case for. We could do whatever you want us to do between now and then.
No, I'll go through with this plea.
So here's my question for you. Do you want a jury trial, yes or no?
No, ma'am.
All right, so you want the court to proceed with this sentencing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, who is Amber Rose Casillas?
That's my wife.
And who is,
And she's present, Your Honor.
Okay.
Amber's present.
And who is Janie Valera?
That's her friend.
All right. So what, Janie Valero and your wife and you all arrived at the scene together?
No, Janie was there at her house. That was her, where she was staying at. My wife is working for Janie for a provider, the health provider. So Janie gave us a call that my mother was
So here's the thing,
harassing her.
why are you getting involved in that? It's your mother and this Janie person. Why are you getting involved?
I will say on his behalf, Your Honor, his version is very different from what you see there in the police report. So I don't think Mr. Salinas is.
Why are you getting involved in a dispute that appears to be between your mother and your wife's friend? That's my question.
I don't know. I had no right to. I'm nobody, basically, what you're saying.
Right. But why are you getting involved? It's your wife's friend and your mother. So does the mother want to have contact with him, and why does she want contact with a son who, from these stipulations, with his wife and his wife friends, are getting into a physical altercation with her?
So we have spoken with her particularly about this as a condition of probation, no contact versus no harmful injuries contact. And from what I see in the notes, I see she asked that we include no harmful injuries contact. She does want to have contact. And in essence, it boils down to she's my son, he's my son, and so I still want to have contact with him.
How many children do you have?
I have two,
What are their ages?
2 and 3.
All right, where were they during this altercation?
They're with me. They're with me.
All right, so you, the mother of your children, are at your mother's house. An altercation happens and you have your 2-year-old and 3-year-old with you. That's it. I can't hear you.
Yes.
Has Child Protective Services been involved?
Yep, they were. Yes.
And what happened with that case? Is it still open?
No, it's closed.
When did they close it?
Just recently.
What does just recently mean?
I'm not too sure. It was a couple months ago.
If you're drug tested today, what are the results going to be? And you're going to be drug tested today.
Negative.
All right, is there anything else from either side?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
None from the defense. Your Honor.
All right, court is going to sentence you to 4 years deferred adjudication. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. $1,500 fine that will be probated, taking consideration county court cause number 6800977, JN number 2038904, restitution to Ruth Medina under county court cause number 6800977, 160 hours community service restitution. 40 of those hours will be waived once you provide proof of the COVID vaccination. There's going to be parenting classes. The court will remain the remaining community service hours once you've completed parenting. And of course, the court is not requiring you to get the COVID vaccination, but if you do, and you provide proof, and that includes the booster, the court will waive 40 of those hours. There's to be no contact with Ruth Medina.
Is that a strict no contact, Your Honor?
Yes, yes. And once you've completed your hostility and aggression control course, then the court will always reconsider.
You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So there's to be hostility and aggression control course, proof of employment within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider with minors. There's to be a UA today. If it's negative, then regular UAs thereafter. If it's positive, let me know immediately. Field visits. 1 time per month, random. Regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Probation, is there anything else that he needs?
No, Your Honor, if you could just have him wait there, we'll have someone come down and submit the, for him to submit the UA.
All right, is there anything else you need from me in order to be successful in this deferred adjudication?
No, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
She's asking you a
Oh,
question.
yes.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And because this is an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to consult an attorney. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record, Mr. Salinas. In this world, what I can tell you is you only get one mom. Got to treat her with respect. And if your mom is like the mom from the movie Sybil, which I know I'm aging myself and half the people here probably have not seen Sybil. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. If your mom is that way, then you shouldn't be around her anyway. But it appears that your mom is a decent person. Don't bring that on her doorstep. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And I know you have children, which are her grandchildren. If you want her to babysit, or if she wants to see her grandchildren, then you'll need to accomplish that through a third party until you finish with the hostility aggression course, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Are we excused?
He needs to stay for conditions from probation, but you're excused.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, who are the parties on Aguilar, Arturo Aguilar? Thank you. All right, the court is calling 2021 CR 8520, State of Texas versus Arturo Manuel Aguilar. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Michelle Hayden for the state.
for the
Robert Perrin-
defense?
I'm sorry, Robert Kearns for the office of Kelly Green for Mr. Aguilar.
And are you Mr. Aguilar?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you have any objection to Mr. Varian standing in for Ms. Green?
No, ma'am.
All right, defense, I'm showing you the discovery acknowledgement. Have you received all the discovery in this case? Did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Aguilar, I'm showing you what's entitled application for probation. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, I'm showing you what's entitled true bill of indictment. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
We do, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
I am, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Aguilar, I'm showing you what's entitled court admonishments. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you're charged with a violation of sex offender registration, 10-year? That's a state jail felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargaining agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea bargaining agreement. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea bargaining agreement and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargaining agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea bargaining agreement in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses to this offense?
No, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
Yes,
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
I do.
Mr. Aguilar, has anyone threatened, forced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea bargain agreement to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial, showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea bargain agreement, your punishment is to be assessed at 2 years in the state jail facility. There's a $1,000 fine to be probated. State recommends community supervision, Chapter 62 compliance and registration, and no contact with Mark Elizondo. Did you understand that to be the plea bargain agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense is at the plea bargain agreement.
It is, Judge.
State is at the plea bargain agreement.
Yes, Your Honor.
Next, I'm showing you the paragraph entitled Waiver of Repeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court.
Yes,
Did
ma'am.
you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, are there any such motions?
There have not.
Next, I'm showing you outside the plea bargain agreement. The state's requesting that your community supervision be for a term of 4 years. There'll be a TAP evaluation and 100 hours community service restitution. Did you understand those are recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, ma'am.
Then to the offenses charged in the indictment, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State any evidence to support the defendant's plea.
State offers States Exhibit 1 and its attachments into evidence.
There's no objection.
Mr. Aguilar, I'm showing you what's entitled waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports? But most importantly, there will be no live testimony. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence States Exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. All right, after reviewing States Exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Judge, we're just asking you to file the plea bargain. He knows he needs to get registered. I think he's been having some difficulty obtaining an ID. I don't know if that's a prerequisite to registering or at least letting local authorities know that you're here, but you understand that you need to do that. Just whenever you go to a different place. If you're gonna be there more than 7 days, you have to let the authorities know you're there. Yes, sir. And you know you have to register every year. Yes, sir. Okay. Nothing further.
Is there anything you wish to say, Mr. Aguilar?
No, ma'am.
All right, do you have a place to live?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you living with someone or by yourself?
Well, it's me, my girlfriend, and we have a baby on the way. I stay in Somerset, Texas.
You stay where?
Somerset, Texas.
All right, what county is that?
It's at Atascosa. It is. Yes, sir.
Oh, now everybody's gonna do their check. So are you being asked to transfer to Atascosa?
If it's possible. I mean, I would like to stay here, man, but I don't know if that affects it. I mean, it's only 30 minutes from here.
Well, I mean, it's up to you.
I wouldn't. It says Bear County, Judge. I don't know if part of it's in Atascosa, but. Well, then it says Bear County, I'll stay here.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, I'll stay here.
All right, and is your girlfriend aware of the charges that you have?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I can give you her number. You can contact her.
No, I'm just wondering if she's aware. People do things and are not aware. Do you have employment?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do?
I do construction. I work for Vasquez Home Improvements.
you have a family support system?
Yes, ma'am.
Who in your family is still in your life?
And my mom, my sisters, my brother, my nephew, my nieces. I still see my grandmother, everybody.
All right, this is what the court is gonna do. The court is gonna sentence you to 2 years in the state jail facility, suspended and probated for 4 years. Chapter 62 compliance, no contact with Mark Elizondo, proof of employment within 30 days, no employment as a home health care provider with minors, 100 hours community service restitution. The court will deduct 40 of those hours if you provide proof of the COVID vaccination. Court is not requiring you to get the COVID vaccination, but if you do, 40 of those hours will be deducted. The court is aware that there is no place for probation to send you for community service hours. There's $1,000 fine that will be probated. I'm going to want field visits 3 times per month. Random. There should be no unsupervised contact with minors. There should be regular reporting by Zoom or in person.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, is there anything else he needs probation?
Your Honor, did you say anything about regular urinalysis?
Thank you. And there'll be regular UAs. Is there anything else that you need from the court in order to be successful?
No, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. So what's with the neck tattoo?
Well, tell you the truth, ma'am, I was in prison and, you know, I just got a bunch of tattoos. I mean,
Okay, was that painful?
yes, ma'am, it was very painful.
Did you ever make a decision that you were gonna stop, or you're just like, I started it, I'm gonna finish it?
That's really what happened, ma'am. I started doing them and started getting, you get one, then it gets addicting, you get another one, and I just got another one. Ma'am. I mean, I've heard it lots of times from my mom's visitation about tattoos, like think about it, like you gotta get a job and stuff like that. Like my mom was always on my case about that. And I just ended up with all these tattoos, man.
Okay, all right, have a good one.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Who are the parties on Joe Anthony Morales?
I'm present.
All right, court is calling 2022 CR 4012, State of Texas versus Joe Anthony Morales. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state? Brittany Sparks. For the defense.
Robert Barron for the office. Kelly Green.
All right, and are you Mr. Joe Anthony Morales?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any objections to Mr. Baring standing in for Ms. Green?
No.
All right, counsel, I'm showing you the discovery acknowledgement. Have you received all the discovery in this case and did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Morales, I'm showing you what's entitled application for deferred adjudication or community supervision. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, I'm showing you what's entitled true bill of indictment. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
We do.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Morales, I'm showing you what's entitled court admonishments. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand what you're charged with by indictment is theft of aluminum, bronze, copper, or brass? That's a state jail felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea bargain agreement. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea bargain agreement and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call and the right to remain silent?
Yes.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes,
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea bargain agreement in this case?
yes,
Did you understand that the court will grant your application for deferred adjudication? If for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty, not grant you community supervision, and sentence you up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine? Did you understand?
yes,
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses to this offense?
No, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
Yes, and I believe he's competent to enter a plea.
Do you believe he was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes. That's right.
Mr. Morales, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
no,
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea bargain agreement to get you to enter this plea?
no,
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
yes,
Are you a U.S. citizen?
yes,
Court will find that the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial, showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
yes,
According to the plea bargain agreement, there's a $1,500 fine to be probated, and the state recommends deferred adjudication. Did you understand that to be the plea bargain agreement?
yes,
Defense?
Yes.
State?
Yes, Judge.
Next, I'm showing you the paragraph entitled Waiver of Appeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
yes,
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
yes,
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
There has not.
Next, I'm showing you outside the plea bargain agreement, the state is requesting that your deferred adjudication be for a term of 2 years. There'll be a TAP evaluation, 120 hours of community service restitution, and no contact with any Home Depot or any HEB.
yes,
Did you understand those are recommendations from the state, and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
yes,
Then to the offenses charged in the indictment, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
no contest.
State any evidence.
Yes, Judge, state office states exhibit 1 and all attachments.
There's no objection, Judge.
Mr. Morales, I'm showing you what's entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes,
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call and the right to remain silent?
yes,
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
yes,
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. However, the court will defer finding you guilty as you apply for deferred adjudication. Proceeding with sentencing,
Yes, please, Judge.
anything you would say on behalf of your client?
Well, I'm sorry, Judge, let me ask, the state, I believe, is recommending a TAP, and if we do sentencing today, will he be bound by those recommendations? For instance, if they were, for some reason, say they want inpatient?
Well, if they are requesting inpatient, you can always come back and have a hearing.
Okay, Judge.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
No, Judge, we've got, he's got some misdemeanors that we need to take care of. We spoke about earlier, so now that we have this out of the way, we'll get those moved up and get it wrapped up, and hopefully the court will file the plea bargain today.
All right, Mr. Morales, if you drug tested today, what are the results going to be? And know that you are going to get drug tested today.
it's,
Here's the thing, tell the truth, shame the devil. What's going to, the results going to be?
it's gonna be positive because I took a painkiller from my tooth the other day.
Okay, let's not play those games. So other than taking your pain medicine, what is it going to be positive for?
For the pain medicine,
And what else?
that's it.
So why do people think you have a drug problem? So you don't have a drug problem whatsoever?
No.
All right, you're gonna get tested today. Are you employed?
Not at the moment. Well, I do work for my uncle, which he runs a business for HVAC. But I'm also in the hiring process with Salute Incorporated, which I used to be employed by them.
So this HVAC thing, was this what this copper wire was for?
No,
All right, and is there a reason why he's not to go to any HEB? Is there a handy Andy? Where is he gonna be going for his food?
Walmart judge, I don't know. His misdemeanor cases arise out of with Home Depot and HEB as well.
You want to find another place to get your food unless you're gonna be growing it in your garden. You understand?
So,
So HEB is off limits and Home Depot is off limits.
so,
And it would probably be best for you just not to touch anything that's brass, copper. Understand?
so,
Do you have any children?
I have one.
Age?
She's 10.
And who does she live with?
She lives with her mother.
All right, are you supporting her
Uh,
financially?
At the moment, no, not since I lost my job.
All right, so here's the thing about children. When children come in this world, they have to eat. So just because you don't have your job doesn't mean that your 10-year-old doesn't need to eat. You gotta eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So how are you eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Well, I'm right now, I'm staying with
And how old are you?
28.
Here's the thing, you gotta get your life together, because right now, your grandmother, I'm assuming she's much older than you, and you're an adult male living in her house that she's supporting, and you're not supporting your own child. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, this is what the court is gonna do. It's a $1,500 fine, probated. 2 years deferred adjudication. There's to be no contact with any Home Depot or HEB. 120 hours of community service restitution. 40 of those hours will be waived if you provide proof of the COVID vaccination. The court is not requiring you to do that, but if you do, and it includes the booster shot, the court will deduct 40 of those hours. Parenting classes. And once you complete the parenting classes, the court will waive the remaining of your community service hours, restitution hours. There should be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Proof of employment within 30 days. There should be no employment as a home healthcare provider with minors. There should be a UA today. And if that UA is positive for anything other than his pain medication, and that's his prescribed pain medication, I want to know immediately.
Is it prescribed? It's not prescribed. Was it prescribed? What you
No,
took
no.
the other day?
Not prescribed to me.
Who is it prescribed to?
It's prescribed to my brother.
Yeah, you have a drug problem. So it's gonna be regular UAs. Well, no, not regular UAs. We're gonna do random UAs. Intensive outpatient treatment. I'm gonna want field visits 2 times per month, random. All right, is there anything else that he needs?
Your Honor, for the intensive outpatient, we'll need a TAP.
All right, tap evaluation.
And if he can just, after you're done with him, if he could head across the hall to the 290th, they'll go over everything with him.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you need from the court in order to be successful?
I do salute the job that I might potentially get hired with requires me to go out of town. Flights.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So once, if you're able to get employed there, then the court will consider things to address that issue. Is there anything else you need in order to be successful?
No, ma'am.
Showing you what's entitled trial court certification of defendant's rights to appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a plea bargaining agreement, because I followed your plea bargaining agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. This is what you need to understand when you're living with your grandmother. It doesn't matter if you're 40 years old or 90 years old. If you live with your grandmother and you're not paying rent there, you need to follow her rules. So if she wants you to clean the house, you need to clean it. If she wants you in the house at a certain time, then you need to be in the house at a certain time, because you're not supporting yourself. Another person is supporting you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And you need to get employed so that you can start financially helping your child. All right, good luck to you. Mr. Barron, if you could take him across the hall to the 290th, they'll go over conditions with him. All right, who are the parties on Dylan Smith? All right, if you all could approach. Court is calling 2022 CR 3510, State of Texas versus Dylan Smith. I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Ryan Grill for the state.
for the defense.
Nathaniel Navy for the defense.
And are you Mr. Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense, I'm showing you what's entitled Discovery Acknowledgement. Have you received all the discovery in this case and did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Smith, I'm showing you what's entitled Application for Deferred Adjudication or Community Supervision. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, I'm showing you what's entitled True Bill of Indictment. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes, Your Honor, we do.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Smith, I'm showing you what's entitled Court Admonishments and Defendant's Waivers and Affidavit of Admonitions. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you're charged with burglary or habitation with the intent to commit assault? That's a second-degree felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 20 years in prison and up to $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea bargain agreement. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea bargain agreement and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement that you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea bargain agreement in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that the court will grant your application for deferred adjudication? If for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty, not grant you community supervision, and sentence you up to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses to this offense?
Yes, Judge.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
Yes, Judge, I do believe that.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
I do, Judge.
Mr. Smith, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea bargain agreement to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea bargain agreement, there's to be a $3,500 fine. I'm sorry, 3,500. See, I'm just making sure everybody's paying attention.
Got it.
I could tell by the eyes going up. I'm telling you, my ophthalmologist, he's like, Stephanie, the minute you get tired of taking your glasses off to read because they're for distance, he's like, then you come to me and I'm just gonna put the line there. I'm like, I will not do bifocals, so I'm not there yet. So it's a $500 fine. State recommends deferred adjudication. There's to be restitution, if any, in cause number 2022 CR 3510. Is that the plea bargain agreement, defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State?
It is, Judge.
And Mr. Smith, did you understand that to be the plea bargain agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, I'm going to show you the paragraph entitled Waiver Repeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, are there any such motions?
No, Your Honor.
Next, I'm showing you outside the plea bargain agreement. The state is requesting that your community supervision be for a term of 4 years. There'll be a TAP evaluation, 150 hours community service restitution, no contact with Juan Garcia, and the felony APSE course. Did you understand those are recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, ma'am.
Then to the offense is charged in indictment. How do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State, any evidence?
Yes, Judge. State would offer State's Exhibit number 1. No objection.
Mr. Smith, I'm showing you what's entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call on the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. However, the court will defer finding of guilt as you've applied for deferred adjudication. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Judge, we would request that this be reset because part of his conditions are to do a TAP evaluation. We would prefer that I have a chance to review that before we proceed to sentencing. It's also my understanding that the state and us that we don't think that the full PSI is necessary, Judge, just the TAP evaluation, but we would request to come back at a later date.
I also think, Judge, I think part of the reason is they don't have, I believe he has to go back to Fort Worth today. So
That's
I think that resetting it just for, we don't need a full PSI done. I think we wanted to lock in the plea today. He didn't have time to read his conditions today.
Okay. So if you drug tested today, what are the results going to be?
Negative.
Okay. All right. How long will it take to do a TAP evaluation? And just the TAP evaluation,
just the
nothing else is needed.
I could probably get them in within a week.
All right, Ms. When you say within a week, what date are we looking at?
Can you just give me a week and a half, Judge, just to make sure?
All right, Ms. Ferguson, can I have a 2-week reset for sentencing on Smith?
Even better, Judge. Thank you.
Sure. June 30th?
That's fine. Thank you.
All right, we will see you back on June 30th at 9 a.m.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
All right, Ms. Ferguson will give you a reset. All right, are the parties ready on Christopher Gonzalez?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Barons, you are here all day today.
Yes, Judge. This is the last one, though.
Okay. All right. Court is calling 2021 CR 0343 State of Texas versus Christopher Gonzalez. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Brian River for the state of Texas.
for the defense?
Robert Ferris for Officer Kelly.
All right, and are you Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any objections to Mr. Barron standing in for Ms. Green?
No.
All right, Mr. Gonzalez, I'm going to show you what's entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the same Christopher Fabian Gonzalez who's placed on deferred adjudication for the offense of possession of controlled substance penalty for 4 grams to 200 grams on April 8, 2021 for a period of 5 years? Is that you?
Yes, ma'am, that's me.
All right, state.
Yes, Judge. Violated condition number 1, on or about the 27th day of April 2022. In Bexar County, Texas, the defendant, Christopher Fabian Gonzalez, committed the offense of possession of a controlled substance in violation of condition number 1.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
True.
Violated condition number 1 on or about the 27th day of April 2022 in Bexar County, Texas. The defendant, Christopher Fabian Gonzalez, committed the offense of possession of a controlled substance in violation of condition number 1.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
True.
We waive the remaining conditions.
Any objections to the state's waivers?
No objection.
All right, your client pulls off his glasses. Now it's like Superman. I don't recognize him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know,
They're blurry. I couldn't wipe them.
that's no problem. Clark Kent does it all the time. Then it's like, who is this? All right, Mr. Gonzalez, did you understand by pleading true to violation of conditions 1 and 1? Court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty, sentence you up to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes,
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violations 1 and 1?
yes.
Court will find 1 and 1 true. Is there an agreement?
There is, Judge. We have an agreed recommendation to the court that you deny the motion to adjudicate. However, you alter and amend his probation to include state ISF, the cognitive and substance abuse track, followed by ISP. In consideration for his pleas, we will be TICing the 2 new cause numbers that he pled to. One of them was NIGHTMAG 659265, and then county court number 683852.
All right, are you asking that the court follow that agreement? Are you waiving your right to appeal?
Yes.
All right, the court will deny the motion. The court is going to alter and amend conditions. I'm going to do a referral to felony drug court. If he's not accepted into felony drug court, then it's to do state ISF dual track. He's to remain in custody until transferred to felony drug court or ISF. Taking consideration NIGHTMAG number 659-265, 683852. Let me see. All right, I see I'm not the person who took the plea bargain agreement on this case. All right, was this case originally in a different court?
I believe it was, Judge. It says Jeff Ronfeld's name on the.
He was like 387.
Okay. Why do
379.
we have this?
To be honest, I'm not sure, Judge.
Do you know why we have a motion to revoke from the 379?
I believe it was transfer of Kevin.
All right. It's 2021 CR 0343.
Looks like we had a lower JN here and on probation.
But is there a co-defendant somewhere?
Maybe on the new NIGHTMAG, maybe.
That's not understand why a motion to revoke is here. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, we'll do it. I mean, we are a working court, but I just want to know why is
I
it?
mean, it was transferred over here.
All right.
Same question my wife had.
All right, Laura, can you check into that and see why this was transferred here? Because it's a motion to revoke. There are no co-defendants. And I know there's a lower JN, but this is the lower JN.
Correct. Yeah.
His
the new
motion to
case.
revoke.
Yeah.
Your
All
Honor,
right. Yes.
I was just gonna say, all of our records indicate he is out of the 379th as well.
All right. So yes, I don't know why this is here. All right, so this is what I'm going to do because do you have any children?
I have 6 cats, no children.
All right, 6 cats. What are their names?
Lion, Nina, Gizmo, Peyton, Lola, and Munchie.
What are their ages?
Nina is around 13 years old. Gizmo is around 8. Peyton's around 6. Lola and Lion, they're both the same age. We found them outside our apartment around, I want to say, 9 months ago.
Okay.
And the last
All right, you do better than some people who have children. When I ask their ages, they can't So Gizmo. Why does Gizmo have the name Gizmo?
Because she looked like a gremlin when she was born.
Okay, thank you so much. See, you and I are probably in the same age bracket because I knew that's where that was going. That was going with gremlins. All right, so what I want to do, because I don't see where it's being requested here, we're going to do, once he's released, within 45 days of your release, you need to get employment, okay?
I already have.
Okay, awesome. So I'll just put in here proof of employment within 45 days of release. And there should be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. And we'll just do regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Let me see if they gave you community service hours.
200.
200 community service hours? Okay,
Yes, that was.
200 hours?
That was one of the allegations.
Okay, all right, so what I'm gonna do is, there is the 200 hours of community service restitution, but 40 of those hours will be waived if he provides proof of the COVID vaccination, not requiring you to do it, but
I
if you
already
do
have, I
it,
already have it.
yeah, just turn it in. 40 of those hours will be waived. And I would throw in, if you have your cat spayed or neutered, I would
They are all spayed and neutered.
do the rest of those. Well, I tell you what, if you provide proof that your cats have been spayed and neutered, I will consider deducting some of your community service hours.
Thank
Because that is a community service to get that done.
Oh, yeah, trust me, I know.
All right, is there anything else?
Oh, man.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Gonzalez. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll try to figure out if you should be in this court or not.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Your Honor, if you could just have him wait in the box, someone will come and talk to him.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
May I have
Yes,
5 minutes, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
all right, and then the next person that will be up will be Julianne Sanchez, just a moment after the court reporter comes back.
My signing this is just Kirk Sherman's, but he never dropped it off at county court. Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. I'm sorry. Hold that. Listen, I need to write that in there in case it's wrong. Oh, and then I think they're gonna be ready on their case, Espinoza.
I think I found out why it came.
Yes,
So the MTR was in the 379. He picks up a new case with a co-defendant who has an older probation case that was here.
Ah,
And that lady subsequently been revoked in our court.
okay, all right, thanks.
So this year, picked up a night bag with a girl named Dakota. She was on probation out of our court, so then I think since they needed to put both of them in one court. What about the new cases where the code, they stay in their own courts?
I'm ready.
All right, the court is calling 2022 CR 2714, State of Texas versus Julianne Sanchez. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state, for the defense?
Suzanne Kramer.
And are you Ms. Sanchez?
Yes,
All right, defense, I'm showing you the discovery acknowledgement. Have you received all the discovery in this case, and did you review it with your client?
Yes, Judge.
All right, just one moment. Excuse me, Mr. Cano. Deputy Laura, can they move to the other end so the court reporter will have an easier time hearing?
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge.
Oh, that's
I was
okay.
too busy being noisy. I didn't even hear you. I apologize, Your Honor.
That's okay. All right, we're back on the record. Defense, I'm showing you the discovery acknowledgement. Have you received all the discovery in this case, and did you review it with your client?
Yes, Judge.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Ms. Sanchez, I'm showing you what's entitled True Bill of Indictment. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm gonna need to make sure you speak up.
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes, Judge.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Yes, Judge.
Ms. Sanchez, I'm showing you what's entitled Court Admonishments. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand you're charged with the offense of possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1 less than 1 gram? That's a state jail felony. Your range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes,
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea bargain agreement. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea bargain agreement and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea bargain agreement in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses to this offense?
Yes, Judge.
Do you believe she has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against her?
She does.
Do you believe she's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
I do.
Ms. Sanchez, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea bargain agreement to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a US citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived a right to jury trial, showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to the plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at 6 months in the state jail facility. There are no applications. The state will take in consideration county court clause number 684-628 and JN number 2064650. Did you understand that to be the plea bargain agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense, is that the plea bargain agreement?
It is, Judge.
State, is that the plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Judge.
Next, I'm showing you the paragraph entitled Waiver Repeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
There's not.
Then to the office is charged in the indictment. How do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State, any evidence?
Yes, Judge. State office states exhibit 1 and all attachments.
No objection.
Ms. Sanchez, I'm showing you what's entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Judge.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
We can rely upon the plea bargain. Judge.
All right, Ms. Sanchez, the court will find you guilty, sentence you to 6 months in the state jail facility, give you credit for any time served, taking consideration county court cause number 684628 and J number 2064650. Is there anything else for me to decide with regards to sentencing?
No, ma'am.
No, Judge.
Nothing from the defense, Judge.
Ms. Sanchez, I'm showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you. We can go off the record. Ms. Sanchez, how old are you?
29.
All right, so do you have any children? All right, you're gonna have to get your life together. Otherwise, you're gonna find yourself in and out of the jail, in and out of prison. If you don't want your life to turn out that way, you're gonna have to start making better choices. If you have a drug or alcohol problem, there are plenty of places that are free to help you with that. But nobody can help you if you won't reach out. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, maybe excuse. Are we already on Rogelio Espinoza? Do we have interpreter?
Yes.
Okay.
And Judge, we just have one quick witness. I think Marina's going upstairs to get her,
Okay.
and then just make an impact.
Ready.
So just a second, I'm waiting for the state.
Sorry, Judge.
No problem.
Yeah, just one.
And I believe another judge, did another judge take this plea?
Yes, Your Honor, Judge Angelini.
Okay. All right, are we ready to proceed?
I'm ready, Judge.
All right. We're back on the record in 2021 CR 1425, State of Texas versus Rogelio Espinoza. Can I have parties announced for the record again, please, for the state,
Michelle Hayden for the state.
for the defense?
Kurt May and John Gibson, who is present.
John Gilmore, Your
I'm
Honor.
sorry. It's been a long day.
All right, and we have a different interpreter with us today. If you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear affirm you will faithfully translate from English into Spanish and Spanish into English, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You can lower your hand if you could state your name for the record.
Cesar Chavez, Your Honor.
Thank you. This morning, the court let the defense know that the court would accept its proffer. The state had no objection to the proffer. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. So both parties then have had a chance to review the PSI report. Is that correct, state defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor, and we do have just 3 items. There is a reference in the first part of the PSR that indicates that Mr. Espinoza has criminal history. He has none, and that is corrected at the end of it. But just so the court is aware, there's no evidence of prior criminal record. There is a reference that the victim in this case is a granddaughter, when in fact it is a step granddaughter. There's no biological connection.
Okay.
And the third one is there's a reference to a grandmother causing abuse to the victim. I think that's just a misstatement. There's no, I don't want a grandmother being impugned in this case.
All right, thank you so much. And the court will take note of that. All right, so according to the plea bargain agreement, which the court previously stated, the state is opposing the application, and the punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 12 years if the court decides not to grant the application for deferred adjudication. State, do you have witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor, we just have one brief witness.
All right, then state if you'll call your witness.
State calls Melody Morales.
All right, and I'm sorry, could you all move over to that side? Thank you. All right, you come forward, please. Who's the witness? All right, if you'll come forward. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give? Who has a phone? Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's no problem. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, if you can lower your hand and state your name for the record, please.
My name is Melody Ann Morales.
All right.
Could you please stand a little bit closer and could you spell your last name?
Mireles.
Just move in this direction. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, state.
Good afternoon, Ms. Morales. You understand that we're here for sentencing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that the judge has all the evidence in the case already?
Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to ask you briefly some questions about how this has affected you and your family.
Yes, ma'am.
So who is Genesis to you?
She's my daughter.
And do you remember when you first learned out that Genesis had been molested by her step grandfather, Rogelio Espinoza?
Yes.
And how old was Genesis?
She was about to be 14.
And what was that like finding that information out for you?
It was very stressful because it was late. It was probably around 11 o'clock at night. And she was just off and she was crying for no reason, just in a panic. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong with her and she wouldn't tell me. And finally she said that Roy had been touching her and abusing her. And she told me and my mother a lot of the things that he did, not everything, but a lot of the things that he did to her. And so I immediately called SAPD because I didn't know what to do because I wanted to get CPS involved. And so they came out then after they came out, then CPS came the next day.
And what was that like for you finding out that?
It was like unbelievable. You know, there's that footprints scripture about when I was walking alone, I felt like the Lord was actually carrying me because I did not know how I was standing up.
And when did Rogelio come into Genesis's life?
Well, he was in her life the day she was born. And then they weren't very close until she was able to make the, the decision without crying to go over there. She was just very attached to us, but once she started going over there, it became like a every other weekend kind of thing. So she was probably around 3 or 4.
And I understand he's her step grandfather, is that correct?
Correct.
But did you know them to have a typical, well, until this information came out, grandfather-granddaughter relationship?
Yes, he appeared to be very giving, caring for her, always wanting to shower her with gifts, and was always a really nice guy.
And at the time, did you think that was normal?
Of course, you think that, okay, she comes home from going to her dad's house with a gift from her grandfather. Come to find out later that he was taking her alone to the flea market to get those gifts. And then that kind of made me feel uncomfortable, but I didn't think anything of it, because it just was a normal kind of thing that you shouldn't worry about it. I think I was just being overprotective at that time. That's what I thought.
And what did you think once you found out he had been molesting her?
I felt guilty.
What did you think about the gifts and the cash that he'd given her at that point?
It all made sense.
How has this affected you, learning what he did to Genesis?
Oh, I've had to seek counseling, increase my psychiatric medications that I take for depression. I don't trust people. I don't trust men. And it's just created a rift between the relationship with me and her dad, among other things, but this was the thing that made that happen mostly. We don't talk, so that relationship's not good. Genesis, just seeing my daughter struggle is just very difficult.
How has this affected her?
Oh, she's been in and out of therapy. She's on psychiatric medications. She's gained weight. She's been in the hospital for thoughts of suicide. Her schoolwork has diminished. She was an honor roll student up until this abuse started happening. But I didn't know that it was happening. I just knew something was off.
Does it continue to affect her today?
It does. She still sees a psychiatrist quarterly, and we go for counseling now. It's bi-weekly, but for the past 2 years, it's been pretty much a weekly therapy kind of thing.
Do you feel like this is something that Genesis will ever fully recover from?
I don't think so. I mean, we strive to do that. She's very strong though. She's resilient. I mean, she put up with all that abuse for all those years and kept it quiet. So she's a fighter and she's a survivor. So I believe she will get through it. But I don't know if she's ever going to get over everything.
Has this affected your family in general?
Yes, ma'am, it has.
And in what ways?
We tread lightly around Genesis, even with her behaviors of self-isolation. We just kind of let that go because we're afraid to disrupt her. We're afraid she's had very many outbursts, emotional outbursts when things don't go her way. And, it's kind of like, I feel like she's a little stifled because we don't let her expand her wings sometimes as much as she wants to, because again, I don't trust her.
And is Genesis here today?
She is.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
What grade was Genesis in?
Genesis was probably about 2nd or 3rd grade on that one.
And is it correct that the abuse started about when she's in 4th grade?
Right. So this was taken shortly before that.
And that's a fair and accurate depiction of her?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I would just offer State's Exhibit 1 into evidence. It's a picture of Genesis when she was the age when the abuse started.
No objection.
All right, State's Exhibit number 1 being submitted into evidence. All right, any further questions?
And we'll pass the witness at this time.
Defense?
No cross, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for coming in to testify. And Ms. Haynes, if you could give that to the court reporter, please. All right, any more witnesses, State?
No, Your Honor, just victim impact.
All right, defense?
Yes, Your Honor. I would just note the factual inconsistency in the various versions of the victim's narrative. I would just note that.
Well, first, I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. May. First, do you have any witnesses?
Oh, no witnesses.
Okay, then the court will hear argument. The state will go first, then the defense, and then the state final. Okay,
I'll just reserve, Your Honor.
all right. You may.
The inconsistencies really are factually important. 14 years ago, Rogelio had prostate surgery. Since that time, it would not be possible for him to have an erection or ejaculation. That is a fact. Every narrative that we looked at had that as the focal point. What we found in the investigation of this case was that there was inappropriate touching. That's what he pled guilty to. That's why you see the original charge and then the plea that he pled to. This does not settle the issue of the extent of abuse in this particular victim's life. There very well could be another perpetrator involved. I am not here to prove that. I'm just here to tell the court that there's some factual inconsistency that shows the nature of the touching, although inappropriate, does not rise to the level of the original victim statement. I would just note, and most significantly, the punishments that have been imposed in this case. For a man of 70 years old and no prior record, he now has a felony conviction. More importantly, maybe to him and his family, he's subject to deportation. He has permanent resident alien status. So with a conviction and a sentence, he will be subject to a deportation. He has been in this country for over 50 years. And finally, there's been complete upheaval in his family. That being said, he still enjoys a tremendous amount of family support. So in the courtroom today, we have with us, I need my cheaters.
That's okay.
We have his wife, Lorena, or Leonora Espinoza, his daughter, Ophelia Saunders, granddaughter, Cynthia Balderas, son-in-law, Joshua Saunders, I believe may be sitting outside with an underage family member who is Gabriel Saunders, who came to support him, his grandson, Roger Flores, and a son-in-law, Eric Lira. This is very significant because what it means is on a deferred adjudication, he has multitudes of support, knowing that there's another side to the story. It doesn't diminish what happened to the victim in this case. In fact, frankly, I think the entire family wants the victim in this case to get help and to have her life not ruined. There's community service that's referenced in page 9 of the PSR that talk about the deferred adjudication conditions. These appear very appropriate. The separation from the victim and the victim's father has already occurred. There, again, is no prior record, so there's no record to indicate a recidivism. The third factor here is there are serious reoccurring conditions of the prostate cancer, which we referenced and we proffered previously in this court. And there's renal gland failure that's in his history and it's not going to go away. It's going to require additional treatment. Ongoing treatment needs are going to be better served in the community rather than in prison. It will be a literal nightmare trying to get meaningful or significant treatment in a state jail facility. We've already mentioned the family support. And as reflected in the PSR, Rogelio is motivated to continue his full-time job. He works in concrete construction management, and most importantly, that's in a commercial setting. That's part of the bond condition because they didn't want any kind of employment that would be in a residential setting that would be around children. Not that I think there's a significant issue there. I think he's very low risk. And in fact, if you look at the PSR, there's a reference that if he's supervising the community, it should be in a low to moderate range of risk factors. His bond has been in place since August of 2020, almost 2 years, no bond violations whatsoever. It's for all of these reasons, Your Honor, that we're asking the court to grant a deferred adjudication. He has more than sufficient motivation to do everything as perfect as a human can do it, because he's looking at a true deportation. So I can't think of any greater motivation. He's taken responsibility for what he can, but not taking responsibility for that which is impossible. And I ask the court to grant a deferred in this case.
All right, Mr. Espinosa, is there anything you wish to say?
Que no quiero ir a la cárcel.
I don't want to go to jail.
All right,
Quiero seguir soportando a mi familia.
I want to keep providing for my family.
Me siento muy mal y que me perdonará el paso.
I feel very bad and I want them to pardon me for whatever happened.
okay. All right, this is what the court is going to do. The court is going to find you guilty. The court is going to sentence you to 12 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's a $1,500 fine, time and money to write concurrent, Chapter 62 compliance, and there's to be no contact with Genesis Paez. I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you have a chance to review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. And also because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to consult with an attorney. My understanding there is victim impact.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. May, if you can have your client just move to the side. Caroline. Yes.
When I was very young, I was groomed, assaulted, and sexually abused by my step-grandfather for about 5 years. It has completely ruined my life in ways that I cannot describe. I have known about things that I shouldn't have known about at such a young age. I was paid copious amounts of money that I shouldn't have been given for the awful things that I went through. I have had multiple things shoved inside of me. I have been told that I would be good as a person who does sexual acts at the age of 10. I have not told anyone. I was groomed into believing that no one could help me, that the state and that the court wouldn't help me, that I shouldn't talk to anyone, not my mother, not my grandmother, not my father, no one, not even my teachers. This has led me to a point where I self-isolate from everyone else. I do not find people around me to be trusting due to this trauma. I have wanted to commit suicide multiple times because of this, one of them leading to a hospitalization back in July of last year. I have had many issues with self-harm in different ways, and I have had self-deprecating thoughts basically ever since this trauma had happened. I have been terrified of this very moment for nearly 2 years. I honestly thought that I was going to die when I had confessed about the sexual abuse. All I could do was cry in my mom's arms and just let it out. And even then, it didn't help anything. I had told people that I barely knew at school as friends before I told my parents, before I told anybody. I have been bullied. And ever since then, I have been slightly sexually assaulted some other times. But I don't know who any of those people are. I have been trained to think that sexual assault and sexual abuse is okay based on my young brain being taught that sexual abuse is okay by a defendant when I was very young. I was barely developing at this time, and I can't help when my body starts developing. But the defendant himself could have very much started when I was much younger or much older. He couldn't have done it at all, but he did it anyways. He has ruined my mind and put it in a petrified state of where I think that the most disgusting acts known to mankind can be okay. I have had family who have gone to prison before. I know what it's like, and I'm so sorry to the family on the defendant's side, considering that we are also related. I hope you can forgive me because I still feel as if this is my fault. My grades have plummeted. My self-love has plummeted. My weight has gone up. I have developed small eating disorders over the time of this abuse. I don't know right from wrong most of the time, and I can't stand the thought of anyone else possibly being hurt by the defendant, which is why I'm here today to testify and try and bring awareness to the situation so no one has to experience what I experienced for these past 5 years of my life. I shouldn't have to gone what I've gone through. It is a lot for me to handle. I don't trust men. I don't trust anyone touching my body, even close friends and family members. My relationship with my father has been ruined. My relationship with my close inner family on my mom's side is a work in progress, and my inner family within my dad's side is non-existent. I haven't seen my cousins on my dad's side within 2 years, and it has been awful just due to the amount of how much love I have for these people and how much love I had for the person that had abused me for so long. And no matter what, he still hurt me. I told him multiple times that it was wrong after learning. And it wasn't until I finally felt that I was safe during the COVID pandemic that I finally came out. And even then, I was still terrified. I still have nightmares to this day of it happening again. And I don't want to live through that anymore. I would just appreciate it if this man would no longer be in contact with me or anywhere near me. Bad things happen, and I knew about that from such a young age. However, I never thought that these would happen to me.
Thank you.
That's what her mother wants to do as well.
So I just have a written statement that I'd like to read. Okay. The abuse and traumas Genesis suffered for so many years has definitely impacted her life and the lives of her family and loved ones in a negative way. Genesis tends to self-isolate in her room with the door closed, taking very long showers and long bathroom breaks at home, public, and at school. Genesis is very private, always feels like she has to hide something. Genesis has difficulty engaging with others, public and family at times. Genesis has sleep disorders. Genesis stays up late, haunted by negative thoughts and fear of having nightmares when she does sleep. This causes the need for melatonin every night to lull her to sleep. Sometimes it works, most times it doesn't. Because of these problems, Genesis has a hard time waking up in the morning for school, which causes her to be late for class, homeroom several days a week. Genesis has also been known to be so tired she will fall asleep in class. When Genesis doesn't get enough sleep, she'll come home and take a nap for up to 2 hours every day, again, keeping her from engaging or participating with other family activities, household duties, and chores. Anxiety and depression. Genesis anxiety and depression are crippling kind of nature. It creates a lack of desire, motivation to join in activities, conversations, etc. Genesis doesn't like to be touched, very skittish at times, and definitely does not like to be touched by men, period. Jen's anxiety and depression also cause her to have low, poor self-image. Does she look good enough? Makeup, clothes have to be perfect. Genesis also gets scared at times. Genesis anxiety and depression have also caused many self-injurious behaviors. Genesis suffers from anxiety so much that at age 9, she had a bald spot the size of $50 in the front of her scalp, where she would deliberately pull out her own hair. She then moved on to picking her fingernails with a pointer sharp object. which gave the appearance of severe nail fungus. When I took her to the doctor informed me that in fact the problem was self-inflicted trauma and not fungus. Genesis now has been picking at her toenails. They would get so bad, I took her to a pediatric podiatrist thinking they were ingrown toenails. Had a procedure performed on both feet to permanently remove the ingrown toenails, but the problem kept reoccurring. That's when I knew she was causing that damage to her poor little nails as a way to deal with anxiety and depression and keeping it a secret. Difficulties in school, we already talked about. Lack of focus, afraid to engage with teacher in class. Teachers claim she's in her own world. Trouble completing work and following through. Again, super long bathroom breaks will cause Genesis to miss out on most of the lecture. Medical issues, pre-diabetes. Genesis finds a lot of comfort in food and seeks comfort often due to the trauma. This overeating has caused binge eating, which are all forms of emotional eating. This has caused a significant weight gain over the past 6-7 years. The weight gain has led into her poor self-image and difficulty losing weight has also fed into the lack of motivation to exercise and diet. The weight gain and emotional eating has also contributed to developing pre-diabetes and is now followed by a PD endocrinologist every 3 months. Genesis has to take metformin every evening. Last summer, Genesis was hospitalized for 7 days at San Antonio Behavioral Health for the thoughts and planning to seriously hurt herself. This came about after Genesis was having her weekly therapy session and confessed to therapist she was planning on hurting herself. We then rushed her to get help. Therapy. Genesis has been going to therapy or counseling since 4th grade. Genesis would always express her sadness, but never was forthcoming about her abuse and trauma. She says it was because she was bullied at school. Genesis was in and out of therapy offices. Up to the time she came out of her abuse and trauma, Genesis had to go to mandatory weekly sessions of trauma therapy through Child Safe with Marvy, and is now going to weekly, bi-weekly to Roy Moss with Teresa. Psychiatry. Genesis is seeing a psychiatrist quarterly. The doctor prescribes Genesis daily and as needed medications. Genesis takes 3 prescriptions daily to combat depression and 1 prescription as needed for severe anxiety. As you can see, Genesis' abuse and trauma has severely impacted her life and the lives of her family and loved ones. She lost the innocence of her childhood, which she can never replace. But we strive for healing and reliving the moments that were stolen from us due to this terrible and long bout of abuse. I praise my daughter for being brave and living with all that in silence for so many years. I can't even imagine what she went through. And when I think I can, I stop myself because the pain is too great. Genesis is a bright, beautiful, and courageous young woman, and I'm proud of her. I admire her, and I love her very much.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
May we be excused? Right?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, any other attorneys ready? Okay, thank you.
Hold on.
Are you ready? Court is going to call 2019 CR 7765, State of Texas versus Angel Varela. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Michael Villarreal for the state.
for the defense?
David Castillo for defendants.
And are you Mr. Varela?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense, I'm showing you the discovery acknowledgement. Have you received all the discovery in this case and did you review it with your client?
Yes.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Varela, I'm showing you what's entitled application for deferred adjudication or community supervision. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, I'm showing you what's entitled true bill of indictment. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
No, Your Honor, state's proceeding only on count 1, waiving and abandoning count 2.
Any objection?
No objection.
Mr. Varela, I'm going to show you what's entitled court admonishments and defendants waivers and affidavit of admonitions. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you're charged with offense of burglary of a habitation with the intent to commit assault? That's a 2nd-degree felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea bargain agreement. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea bargain agreement and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea bargain agreement in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses to this offense?
Yes.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
Yes.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes.
Mr. Varela, has anyone threatened you, forced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea bargain agreement to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea bargain agreement, the state is proceeding on count 1. There's a $1,500 fine. State recommends deferred adjudication. There's an affirmative finding of family violence in the BIPP course. Did you understand with an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand with an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to be designated as primary custodial parent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that could be the entirety of your plea bargain agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
State is at the plea bargain agreement.
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense is at the plea bargain agreement.
Yes.
Next, I'm showing you the paragraph entitled waiver repeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, are there any such motions?
And no, Judge.
Next, I'm showing you outside the plea bargain agreement. The state is requesting that your deferred adjudication be for a term of 4 years. There'll be 160 hours of community service restitution. No contact with Liliana Martinez. and no firearm possession. Did you understand those are recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, ma'am.
Then to the offenses charged in count one, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State any evidence.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, state of states exhibit number 1 its attachments.
Any objections?
No objection.
Mr. Varela, I'm showing you what's entitled waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call on the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there'll be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. After reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty. However, the court would defer finding it guilty as you've applied for deferred adjudication. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Judge, we waive the PSI.
All right, anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Yes, Judge, we're asking the court to follow the plea bargain to give this young man an opportunity to fulfill all the conditions of probation. He believes he can complete all the conditions of his probation. He doesn't believe he has an alcohol or drug problem, but if the court should, in its wisdom, order a tap evaluation later, he would comply with any conditions of that evaluation. Also, if the probation is approved, he would like to transfer his probation to California.
Where in California?
Brawley, California.
I'm sorry, what?
Brawley, California. It's about an hour and a half away from San Diego.
What county is that?
It's in Imperial County.
How do you spell that?
Imperial, Imperial.
Oh, Imperial.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you have any children?
Yes, I have 2 boys.
What are their ages?
5 and 3.
Where do they live?
Right now, they're staying with their mom in Phoenix.
Okay. Do you have any children with Ms. Martinez?
She's my real mom.
No, she is the mother of your
She's the
child.
mother of my child. Sorry.
How can she be the mother of your child? You only have 2,
I
correct?
got 2 kids with her. Yes.
Oh, and these are the 2 that are in Phoenix?
Yes.
Why do you want to go to California?
Actually, because that's where I'm staying at. That's where I live. I've moved. So
No, you live at the Bexar County Jail right now. What do you mean?
where I was staying at before I came to Bexar County, I was living in California. And I got my grandma out there and I have my mom.
State, is Ms. Martinez aware of this agreement?
We haven't had recent contact with her, but as far as last time we spoke with her, she was cooperative on this case.
All right, and is she okay with Mr. Varela having deferred?
We haven't spoken to her about that issue.
Okay. How old are you?
28.
28.
Yes, ma'am.
What is a 28-year-old doing climbing through a window of somebody who doesn't want you anymore?
And not understanding.
I'm sorry, what?
Being ignorant and not understanding.
No, you understood, because in the police report, it says that you were upset with her because she moved on rather quickly. So you understood. So again, what is a 28-year-old doing climbing through an apartment window of somebody who doesn't want you?
I have no answer for that.
Judge, he needs, some type of counseling, Judge, to understand how relationships work or don't work.
I mean, is this your first relationship?
Serious one, yes.
All right, let me explain to you how relationships work. When someone doesn't want you anymore and says, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore, guess what? You're no longer in the relationship, and what they do and the other relationships they enter into is no concern of yours. That's how relationships work. So have you had a girlfriend before, other than Ms. Martinez?
I wouldn't say girlfriend, but
What, just randomly sleeping around with a bunch of people? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Either you've had a girlfriend before or you have not. So other than Ms. Martinez, have you been in a relationship before?
yes, ma'am.
All right, so how did those relationships end?
They just ended. We just stopped.
So did any of those girls climb through your window
No,
trying to figure out why you moved on so quickly?
no.
Well, that's how relationships work, and that's how adults do it. When a relationship is over, it is over. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm telling you right now, if I allow the transfer to California, you are not to make any detours to Arizona. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you're not transferred to California until they accept your transfer. So until they accept your transfer, you are to remain in Bear County. Do you understand?
Your Honor, I'm
Yes.
actually on probation in California
For what?
for assault.
Do they even know you're down here in Texas?
They let me out with the specific condition that I had to come over here and deal with it.
I believe he was extradited from California. Judge.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's why he was gone so long, Judge. The case is kind of old. And I believe it's only the second sighting.
All right, it's $1,500 fine to be probated. 4 years deferred adjudication. Affirmative finding of family violence. The BIPP course. Transfer to Imperial County, California. There's to be no contact with Liliana Martinez. And that means you don't write her any letters, you don't send her any cards, you don't send her any happy Mother's Day, happy birthday. That means that she does not exist for you. You are not to have contact with her. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And if for any reason there is some child custody agreement you can have, you'll have to handle that in a court of law. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And if somebody does give you possessory of your children, then you'll have to do that through a third party. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so there's to be no contact with Liliana Martinez. 160 hours community service restitution. 40 of those hours be waived if you provide proof of the COVID vaccination. I'm going to want parenting classes. And the remaining of the community service hours will be waived once you complete parenting classes. There's to be no firearm possession. Regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Regular UAs. And I'm sure in California, they don't mind doing field visits. Field visit 3 times per month. Proof of employment within 30 days of release. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. And I say that California probably would not have any issues with doing field visits because I've transferred cases before and they don't have anyone to do field visits. So I believe California does. Probation, is there anything else that he needs?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Is there anything else that you need from me in order to be successful?
No, Your Honor.
Showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Yes.
Ms. Castillo. Right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. And because this is an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can go off the record. I'm going to give you the same lecture that I give other people. It's obvious to me that you're not ready for a relationship. And you know how to get prepared for a relationship? Buy an orchid. When you get that orchid from the store, it has the flowers on it. It's beautiful. Once those flowers fall off, don't get in a relationship again until that same orchid blooms for a second time. You understand?
That's fine.
All right, good luck to you. All right, probation is going to go over your conditions with you. All right, Mr. What is happening on, Mr. Cano, what is happening with your case?
Yeah, hello, Fran. Sorry we missed that. Well, we've been talking back and forth. I might just have another 5 minutes or so. I did, my client's allowed me authority to extend an offer. I know that's where we're at. We're still trying to work it out.
All right, Mr. White, if you don't work it out today, you'll be back tomorrow for jury trial.
All right,
So I'll let you discuss that with your attorney.
could I have a moment with the DA to work out?
Oh, I mean, you all, that's completely up to you all, what you want to discuss.
I'll get the third judge.
All right, thank you.
Madam Clerk,
Yes,
the defendant was ordered to take a drug test. He was negative today.
all right, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Free to leave after you've done his stuff?
Yes. All right, Norma, what is happening with Fernando Menchaca?
I'm trying to get hold of Mr. Meadows.
Okay, let me see the file on Menchaca. And then the other person we have is, who else do we have? Yes. Okay. Okay.
He already had a warrant. And then
Okay.
And then Brandon White.
All right, so Menchaca, just recall it for tomorrow. Yeah.
And Judge,
Can we do it for Thursday, Judge?
Sure.
His defense attorney approached me and was asked if we had the restitution amount, and I told him we did, and that we were ready to go in front of you, but he said he was asking for a reset.
Oh, did you say that?
Yeah. He was here this morning, I don't.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay, who is this?
That's Meadows.
Let's tell him to come back on Thursday. Nobody saw him. Yeah. So we'll come back on that on the 16th.
Thank you for breakfast. I'm gonna sneak to the back, see if there's anything left.
All right. Have a good one.
Yeah, you'll see you.
All right, bye-bye. All right, so, and then White is the next one. Okay.
Yes, and it includes the choking and the injury. Yeah.
Just we'll catch you tomorrow. I think we're done.
All right, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Y'all mute. All right, so I'm gonna take a quick recess and I will be right back in 10 minutes, everyone. Are you ready? This will be our last one for today. All right, court is calling 2022 CR 08418, State of Texas versus Brandon White. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Michael Billiard, the state.
for the defense?
Ed Connell for the defendant.
And are you Mr. White?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, I'm showing you the discovery acknowledgement. Have you received all the discovery in this case and did you review it with your client?
Yes, Judge.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. White, I'm showing you what's entitled true bill of indictment. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes, we waive it.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
No, Your Honor, state's proceeding on count 2, waiving and abandoning counts 1 and 3.
Any objections?
No, no objection.
All right, Mr. White, I'm showing you what's entitled court admonishments and defendants waivers and affidavit of admonitions. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and count 2, you're charged with the offense of injury to a child, bodily injury intentionally and unknowingly. That's a 3rd-degree felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea bargain agreement. If for any reason the court doesn't follow your plea bargain agreement and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea bargain agreement in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defense to this offense?
Yes, Judge.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes.
Mr. White, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, Your Honor.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea bargain agreement to get you to enter this plea?
No, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with the way you been represented?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Showing you the plea bargain page. You reviewed that page with your attorney. Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to the plea bargain agreement, the state is proceeding on count 2. Punishment is to be assessed at 4 years in the prison. There's a $1,500 fine. There are no applications. The state will take in consideration 2021 CR 11250. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. You plea as a co-defendant with Kayla White, Kayla Connor, and Christopher White. Did you understand that to be the plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense, is that the plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Judge.
State, is that the plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Next, I'm showing you the paragraph entitled Waiver of Repeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, are there any such motions?
Well, there's been filed motions, but they hadn't been ruled on, Judge.
And Mr. White, to the offense as alleged in count 2, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest, Your Honor.
State any evidence.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, state offer state's exhibit number 1 and its attachments.
No objection.
Mr. White, I'm showing you what's entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, Your Honor.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, please, Judge.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
No, Judge, other than we respectfully ask that the court follow the plea bargain agreement. This decision was difficult to make on behalf of Mr. White's behalf. And, but considering all circumstances, he's agreed to take responsibility.
All right, so I'm going to follow your agreement, sentence you to 4 years in the prison. Give you credit for any time served. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. When you entered your plea as co-defendants, as co-defendant with Kayla White, Kayla Connor, and Christopher White. And Mr. White, do you admit that this act was committed with Kayla White, Kayla Connor, and Christopher White?
I don't believe that my brother or my sister-in-law, Kayla White, had any involvement.
You're pleading as a co-defendant, so that's my question to you. According to this plea bargain agreement, you're pleading as a co-defendant.
I don't understand.
You want to speak to him about that?
Maybe just rephrase the question.
All
Well,
right. You understand that Kayla White is a co-defendant in this case?
yes, I understand.
All right, so you understand, according to your plea bargain agreement, you agree that she is a co-defendant
Yes, I
and
understand.
partially responsible for this. Do you understand?
I can't make a plea for somebody else's guilt.
Judge, I think what we understood is that he would, that with regard to any other co-defendant who has not pled, and there should be 4, but I think only one has done a plea. That's Kayla Connor. I think she got a deferred deal. The other 2 co-defendants, I don't think have pled to my knowledge, but
I
should
can't speculate their involvement, Your Honor.
well, should Mr. White be a witness in that case and be called to testify, he can testify as to what his personal knowledge is. That's what he thinks he's agreeing to do here.
Yes, Judge, and there's from speaking directly with the defendant, he claims to have no knowledge specifically, but there's potential that we might call him as a witness if the other 2 defendants were to go trial, that being Kayla White and Christopher White, and that is in contemplation of that particular provision of his plea bargain agreement.
Do you understand that, Mr. White?
Yes, I understand. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, as previously stated, the court has sentenced you to 4 years in the prison, credit for any time served, affirmative finding of family violence. You're pleading as a co-defendant with Kayla White, Kayla Hunter, and Christopher White, taking in consideration 2021 CR 11250. Is there anything else from either side with regards to sentencing?
I know you want.
All right, I'm going to show you what's entitled trial court certification. Thank you. A defendant's rights to appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because this is a felony conviction and because this is an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. Do you understand? You understand?
Your Honor, does the law change after 5 years after the end?
You're not allowed to possess any weapons or ammunition due to the fact that this is a felony conviction and also because there's an affirmative finding of family violence. I need to know whether or not you understand that.
I understand.
All right, if you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we can go off the record. Mr. White, possessing a weapon and whether or not you can possess one should be the least of your concerns. Your concerns should be about this child who now doesn't trust you and you haven't been a good parent to that child. So that child doesn't have its mother because that child stated in the police report, they haven't seen their mother in who knows when. People need to stop having children if they're not going to take care of them appropriately. People need to stop having children if they are not going to show them the love and respect that they deserve.
Yes, Your Honor. I agree.
Now, do you want me to put you in a corner and hit you? I think not.
No, Your Honor.
So that shouldn't be done to a child either. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and before you decide to have any more children, I would suggest that you take parenting classes and learn how your actions impact a child and how that diminishes a child's self-esteem. And then, you know what ends up happening? When your child decides to have children, hopefully they won't treat their child the way you treated them, but you never know. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right, everyone.